What I wish I knew as a CRNA. Hey, y'all. My name is Sarah Wild. I'm a board certified registered nurse anesthetist, and I am here to give you guys some tea on anesthesia school, what you need to know, what to think about before you go, and some tips to help you get through a little more unscathed than you already be. Today, I want to go over 5 topics of things that you should think about before you go to anesthesia school. Maybe you're already in anesthesia school and you are drowning. Well, here, this is for you also. Going forward, listen to this and we'll get you going. So let me set the stage. You're an ICU nurse. You are well educated. You know your stuff. You have been working in the intensive care unit. You have dealt with dying patients. You have dealt with highly critical patients. You know what you're doing. And then you go into anesthesia school. Let me tell you a quick story. I was in my second year of anesthesia school doing a clinical rotation at a level 1 big facility. I had my clinical preceptor come up to me and he was like, "Sarah, what's going on? I heard some of the female CRNAs talking about you in the break room and it sounds like there's some issues." I was like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "Well, you didn't have any conflict with any of them?" I said, "No, not that I know of. I've actually gotten along with everyone very well here." He was like, "For real?" So he put a pin in it and left, then came back to me later and informed me that there were a few of the female CRNAs that were for no good reason, just talking negatively about me. Why, I'm not for sure. I never confronted them. But he pretty much just encouraged me to keep my head down, to learn, to grow, get my skills. And he encouraged me, thought I was a good student and I worked hard and all this. So that was kind of deflating and discouraging, but I just like, gosh, what did I do? I'm already so stressed out with school, but I just didn't feel great about myself in that moment. Well, fast forward a day or two, and I actually was with the chief CRNA in a big case. Super nice guy. We were talking. He was talking about anesthesia or school, who knows? And he told me, Sarah, I can tell that you are going to be a leader. I can tell that you know your stuff, that you are going to be strong in your practice." And he said, "Don't let anyone ever stop you from that." This stuck with me because it was so true. He said, "If you are a male in this world, and you are assertive, you are hardworking, and you are a go getter, you are a leader." And then he said, "It is very unfair, but for a woman who is outspoken and hardworking and assertive, you are a bitch." And he's so right. And in that moment, I realized it is intimidating to be a female and to be assertive and to dominate a field. So I want to start this episode by saying, don't ever feel bad for what you know. Don't ever feel bad for your knowledge. But when you are going into anesthesia school, you have to know a few things and you have to change your perspective a little bit. So let's dive in. The first thing that I want to talk about is expectations. What are the expectations you have of what anesthesia school is going to be like? Just answer that to yourself. I want you to take those expectations and throw them out the window. I want you to get rid of every expectation of how hard, how easy, how stressful. Throw it out the window and create a clean palette. Like, go in truly willing to put the work in, put the time, and get things done. My experience will not be your experience, but you can learn from my experience and others' experiences. You can heed our advice and go in with an open mind. So, step one, super simple, get rid of your expectations. Having said that, it's kind of not true, right? Because you're going to have to expect very little time to do other things, but we'll get there. I want you to understand the difference of expectations of anesthesia school and what it's actually going to be like. You won't really know until you get there, but you'll hear my opinion, others' opinions. At the end of the day, we have all had different experiences. So I think you need to realize whatever your expectations are, it's probably going to be different and just be flexible in that. And that's okay. make your expectations fluid and not be blindsided when it's way harder than you expected, or when you got this one professor that nobody talked about, or when you go to a rotation and they stop letting students do nerve blocks. Whatever your expectations are that someone else told you got to let those go, or at least be flexible with your expectations. Two, I wish someone would have talked to me about the mental and emotional demands anesthesia school is going to have on you. I don't care how smart you are. The reality is, every single one of you that have applied for anesthesia school, they're the cream of the crop. You are ICU trained nurses with the highest level of acute care for nursing. So you are already going up against some of the smartest people in the nursing field. Anesthesia is no joke. If you don't know what you're doing, you can very quickly and easily kill someone. Anesthesia school is intended to be hard, it's intended to be rigorous, it's intended to make you stressed. It's intended to push you to see if you can handle it, if you can be put under pressure and do well. So know that there will be physical, emotional demands, and you have to be ready for that. You have to set yourself up for success. No one can truly prep you what it's going to be like when you're precepting on a case and that patient suddenly dies or throws a blood clot and goes to the ICU. There are so many things that can happen when you're in anesthesia school. You have to be mentally prepped. No one prepped me for when I was going to get physically accosted by an MD anesthesiologist in a clinical. And then for the head of the hospital to manipulate me into not saying anything. Guess what? I was so emotionally spent. I was so exhausted. Worst of the whole scenario was I had a preceptor that didn't want to lose their rotation. So instead of being on my side, she was on the side of the hospital and encouraged me just to keep my mouth shut because they didn't want to lose their rotation. Be prepared to go through a possible emotional whirlwind. You don't know what's coming. Three, it's going to be a learning curve for you guys. I will say I've talked to other people that went to other programs, and it sounds like it wasn't as intense as my program. I don't know if it was my clinical rotations, my preceptors. I went to a very good school that had high standards. It was known to be a little cutthroat because there was no second chances. You got a bad grade, you're out of the program. So go in being flexible, knowing there's a learning curve to everything you do. There are some professors that are really understanding and really have a desire to help you learn. And there are other professors that refuse to let anyone get an A in their class. You have to go into everything with the learning curve and be open minded. You have to realize because everyone is so educated and so smart in these programs, they're going to make it hard. They're not going to hold your hand. So go in, be flexible, and realize someone might teach you something one day at the clinicals and it might be different the next day. And that's okay. Learn from everything, soak it all up. Four, I wish someone would have talked to me about appropriate relationships with preceptors and faculty. Faculty is wonderful. They're there to teach you, help you learn, but they are evaluating everything you say, everything you do, every thought that is communicated to them. And they are deciding, is this person going to represent my program well? That's the other thing, guys. Attrition rate. Where I went to school, it was crazy high, like a high 30s%. I can't remember the exact percent, but it was so high. And because their program was tough, they wanted the people that came out of their program to represent them well. Sometimes as students, you go through hard times. And I'll never forget this one student. She just, it seemed like she wanted to talk about all of her issues to the teachers. And I don't know if she just didn't have anyone to talk to or the teachers cared. They didn't not care, but it was just like she was always talking about her issues and her struggles, and she was suicidal, and they were all very good things to have someone to talk to. But I think it really hurt her in the long run because the faculty started deeming her a risk to their program success, which I'm not saying is okay, but that's the reality of what's going to happen. So keep your relationship with your preceptors and the faculty very professional. Go to them when needed, be honest, be ethical, but don't overshare, especially with preceptors. Preceptors, man, they will talk. They will talk, 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 talk. So show up, do your work, learn, be professional. If they ask you questions about your personal life, answer basically, but don't go after and get a drink with them at the bar. That's just something I would leave for after you're done with school, in my personal opinion. 5, let's talk about finances. I've had a lot of questions about, is anesthesia school worth the cost? The reality is, I feel like programs are becoming more and more expensive due to just cost of living, inflation, everything. I haven't looked like within the past few months what programs are going for, but I know they're expensive. Here are a few tips I would give you. Live simply. Don't finance a car. Don't finance anything. Reduce your costs as much as possible. The reality is, if you're in a doctorate program, you can work through the online portion or the first portion where you're just doing your doctorate work. Most SRNAs I know are doing that. But once you start your full time program of clinicals and didactic, it's just not smart to work. My program wouldn't let us work. But if you have a program that doesn't make you sign something saying you won't work, I still don't advise it not doing that. So maybe you need to save. Maybe you need to ask a family member if you can live with them. Maybe you're married and you and your spouse go on a strict budget. I know for me and my husband, at the time, my husband was a teacher. So we were making very little money. We lived a very simple lifestyle. When we would go on dates, we did a lot of free things. We didn't eat out a lot, cooked a lot at home. You found ways to not spend money. My goal was to only take student loans out for the school aspect, and my husband paid for the rest of our cost of living. You might be someone that does not have someone that can help with your cost of living. So you have to get student loans for everything. Get a roommate, split cost of living, budget every single thing, make food, don't buy food at the hospital. Just be willing, go in and say, I'm going to live the next 3 years super simply, not eat out. I'm not going to buy Starbucks, and I'm going to reduce my cost of living as much as possible. It will pay off. Guys, your income will be such to where you can pay your student loans no problem. Some people I know like to pay their student loans of as fast as they can. Some people got really good interest rates, so they are happy to extend those student loans for the rest of their life because it's practically free money. Whatever your situation is, you can afford student loans, you can afford to pay it off. You just have to be wise financially and try not to spend more than needed upfront. There are going to be many times in this journey for you guys. You guys are going to feel overwhelmed. You're going to feel exhausted. Give yourself short term goals. I'm talking like daily goals, weekly goals, monthly goals, and then give yourself the big goal. The big goal is to graduate, but that's overwhelming. So create like a semester goal. If I can get through this semester, and, if your goal's all A's, or your goal is not to have a panic attack, or your goal is to not have anxiety or stress or whatever it is, have a reward. Celebrate the small successes. My husband was so cute. After every single exam, I would come home. He would be waiting with a glass of champagne. He would turn on a song and we would have a dance party in the house. And then I would go take a nap and I'd usually watch an episode of Grey's Anatomy. That was just my thing. I never allowed myself to watch TV ever in anesthesia school, except for that one time I take an exam. I would pass it. I would go crawl in bed, watch an episode of Grey's Anatomy, take a little nap, and back to studying. So, wherever you're at, no, it's going to be a hard journey. It's going to be exhausting. It's going to be rigorous. It is a marathon, it is not a sprint. So, put those running shoes on, stay strong. Don't be intimidated by hard. You will learn the most in life from the hardest situations. This scenario, this journey you guys are embarking on, going to teach you the most of anything you'll ever go through. And I say that I've had 3 kids. I'm a mom of 3 kids. I have a job. I've started a business. Anesthesia school, hands down, one of the hardest things I've ever done. So tag a fellow SRNA that you think needs to hear this. Comment below something you wish someone would have told you if you are a current CRNA, active SRNA. Let us know something that you wish someone would have told you before you started and that's something that could have helped you succeed in the height of the stress and the exhaustion. My last thing I will leave for you guys, it is never too late to chase after your dreams. It is never too late to better yourself. It is never too late to try again. And never forget to do what you love and love what you do.